Today we're going to be talking about Israel's capture, Babylon conquering Israel. So Israel had sinned against God so much that God had decided to punish them. And so he sent Babylon, a country of great power, to come in and take over Israel. And they captured all the Israelites and dispersed them among their different territories. So they took them from God's promised land, from the Holy Land, and took them to all kinds of different countries and made them live there. And King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, he took the best, the brightest, and the smartest, the strongest of the young men of Israel, took them into captivity and placed them in a school to train to be his advisors. So people that would give him advice, help him make decisions on matters of state, basically their country's decisions, how to deal with certain people. And so 4 of these people are Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And so they're taken into captivity, and the king Nebuchadnezzar, he wants to treat them well, get on their good side, so he feeds them all this super nice food. I mean, it's just a buffet of all your favorite sweets and all this stuff. But a lot of the food, God had commanded the Israelites, the Hebrews, God's people, not to eat. And so Daniel, seeing the food that he's not supposed to eat, they're serving it to him. He goes up to the chief of staff and says, "Please, can we just eat vegetables? Can we just eat vegetables for 10 days? And the chief of staff is like, "No, I can't do that. If you get sick or you start looking weak, the king might kill me." And so he just pleads with him for 10 days. Can I just eat vegetables? Me and my fellow Israelites, the other 3, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, can we just eat vegetables for 10 days? And if we're not looking as strong or stronger by the end of those 10 days, then we'll eat whatever you want. And so they eat vegetables for these 10 days. And by the end of it, they were stronger than anybody else. They were able to do more work, and they looked fitter than they did before. And so the chief of staff was amazed. And when King Nebuchadnezzar came to evaluate, he came to test all the students in the school that were being trained up to be advisors, the ones who stood out more than anybody else was Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. God gave them wisdom and blessed them because they stayed committed to God and would not eat the food that God had told them not to eat. And he gave them wisdom that when Nebuchadnezzar tested them, they were able to answer all his questions, and give the best advice of anybody else in the court. And so Nebuchadnezzar placed them in very high positions of power. So God provided for his people and put his people in positions of power in this country that has taken over them. Even though God was mad at them, he was still gracious enough to keep some of his people alive and in power. And so we see Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego being faithful and being faithful to God and obeying his commands, despite maybe being killed for not eating what the king had given them. If the king had found out, then he could have took it as an insult that you don't want the food that I give you, and could have killed them. And still, they ate. They decided to eat just vegetables, eat only what God allowed them to eat, and God blessed them for it. And so in this lesson, I want to encourage you to stay committed to God, no matter who's telling you to do otherwise, no matter the situation you're in, whether it's in school and you think you might get a bad grade, so you think you might cheat and look at another person's paper. Stay committed to God and stay faithful to Him, and be a shining example of God. Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they all were witnesses to all the Babylonians, saying that, hey, we are going to be God's people no matter what country we're under, no matter what powers are over us. We are still God's people and not anybody else's. So I want to encourage you to seek God first above anything else. Our memory verse for today is Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. It says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." So we take this memory verse and we know that when we stick with God, that God is with us and He will empower us to do what He has told us to do. So just like God enabled Daniel and his friends to be stronger after eating only vegetables for 10 days, and to have wisdom, He can enable us to do what He tells us to do in our lives. And I just want to encourage you to memorize that verse and seek God this week.